last year. Liberal MP Will Amos, who, if this had happened afterwards, we would say said, hold my beer, apologized after urinating during virtual video parliamentary procedures. Only a month earlier, he had appeared naked on a video call with colleagues while changing after a run. He did not seek re-election. More Heard Tell right after this.
Paid for by the committee to elect Judge Michael Stadding. As a member of the United States Air Force, I stand for our nation. As a prosecutor, I took a stand against violent criminals. As an attorney for the Fraternal Order of Police, I took a stand for law and order. As a sitting conservative judge, I stand for our Constitution. And as a judge on the Court of Appeals, I will stand up for you. Vote for a battle-tested conservative. Stand with Stadding. Michael Stadding is a reservist for the United States Air Force. Use of his military rank, job titles does not imply endorsement by the Department of the Air Force or the Department of Defense.
Only one candidate for clerk of court has the experience needed to keep our courts running efficiently and criminals off our streets. That candidate is conservative Republican Catherine Adams. Adams has a 20-year record of accomplishments, including serving as Deputy Director of the North Carolina Administrative Office of the Courts, where she was responsible for the oversight of the human resources and financial management for all 6,200 employees of the state court system and personally managed hundreds of employees and tens of millions of taxpayer dollars. She's also been awarded the state's highest civilian award, the Order of the Longleaf Pine, for her public service. That's why Clerk of Court Jim McCallum says Catherine Adams is the one person most qualified to be our next Clerk of Court. Early voting begins on April 28th, and the primary election is on May 17th. So remember to vote for experience, vote for leadership, vote for qualifications, and vote for proven conservative Republican Catherine Adams for Brunswick Clerk of Court.
Paid for by the committee to elect Catherine Adams, Clerk of Court.
Hey, I'm Yael Osowski.
And I'm David Clement.
We're the host of Consumer Choice Radio, broadcasting every Saturday at 10 a.m. here on the Big Talker 106.7 FM.
Consumer Choice Radio is a weekly conversation featuring the latest news, interviews, and expert analysis that covers consumer topics from around the world.
ConsumerChoiceRadio.com.
Welcome back to Heard Tell. You know we always end on a good or an uplifting note. This is a cool one. There's always been a long tradition in times of crisis of using sport, both as a way to keep people's spirits up, as a way to distract, and also as a way to raise funds. And they're going to do all three of these over in England. Peterborough United Stadium will play host to a charity match to raise funds for those affected by the war in Ukraine. I'm reading from Peterborough today's Telegraph paper over in the UK. This will happen next Saturday, May the 21st. The charity match will see a Ukraine 11 line up against a Polish 11 to symbolize the unity between both countries. Over 3 million refugees are estimatedly sought refuge in Poland since Russia's invasion in February, as well as raise money for Support the World charity. The charity was set up by renowned chef and restaurateur Damian Wawrzyniak. I'm going to warn you right now, there's Polish and Ukrainian names a-coming, and I'm probably not going to pronounce a single one of them right. We're going to push through as best we can. Along with Claudia Zalanowiskia, Dan Zanuch, Andreas Zemansky, and Darren Faraday. Thank you, Darren Faraday, for having a name this hillbilly can get his name around. I apologize to the rest. To offer those in need in times of crisis, both in the UK and across the world. The charity has been particularly influential since the start of the invasion in collection donations and delivering right to the front lines in the Ukraine. Damien is sponsoring the Polish team through his business House of Feast in E. Green, and that he will play some part in the match, while Dan will be sponsoring the Ukrainian side through his business Danzing Logistics. Folgate Legal are also sponsoring the event as a whole. Tickets for the match are £5, and all money raised will be used to further support the work of the charity. Cool thing, of course, Poland has really been carrying the load in aiding Ukraine. Of course, they share the border, Of course, Poland has a long history with the Russians, so there's a lot going on there, but good for the Poles. They have really stepped up. They have become leaders in Europe on this issue. God bless them. Ought to be a fun day of football, as they call it over there, soccer for us in the States. Hope a lot of people turn out. Hope they raise a lot of money. That'll do it for Hertel for the week. So hope you had a great one. Hope you're going to enjoy your weekend. I know I am going to be doing some family stuff up in West Virginia. So until we see you again on Monday, or on Twice on Sunday, or on Good Talks, if you want to go back and watch or listen to any of the interviews, or for good old-fashioned Hertel every weekday right here. Can't wait to talk to you again, wherever you and yours are, across the street or around the world. We hope you are well. We hope you are well fed. I know I am. I'm going home. And we'll talk to you next time on Hertel.
All the music on Hertel is provided under a Creative Content license from monstercat.com.
Bringing you the best local talk radio shows, Wilmington's Big Talker 106.7 FM, WFBT, Carolina Beach.
Tune in to the WWAY News at 6 p.m.
Thank you for joining us tonight for your news at 6. I'm Hannah Patrick.
I'm Randy Aldridge. We want to get straight to our WWAY team coverage of last night.
For the biggest and most compelling stories that make a difference.
On the scene shortly after the blaze began and has the story now.
Leland is one of the fastest growing towns in the country.
First court appearance this morning in Pender County.
WWAY News at 6 p.m. This is the place.
To some, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much, but that's not true. They're testing out vowels and consonants and trying different sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on meaning, especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. A man convicted as a habitual felon is going to prison for selling cocaine near a Wilmington child care center. After a 3-day trial, 51-year-old Clarence Daly was found guilty of 2 counts of selling cocaine within 1,000 feet of a child care center and several other charges. Daly will serve a minimum of 12.5 years in prison. In 2019, Daly sold crack cocaine to a confidential informant near Howe Pre-K on Mears Street. It's a busy weekend for college commencement ceremonies in the Cape Fear. UNCW will hold 4 ceremonies during its 102nd commencement exercises today and tomorrow to graduate more than 2,700 students, including undergrads, masters, and doctoral students. Cape Fear Community College also holding commencement ceremonies today in Wilmington, and in Bladen County, Southeastern Community College will hold commencement exercises today for the graduating class of 2022. Some improvements are on the way for the North Carolina Ports Authority and 2 local short-line railroads. The improvements come from nearly $11 million matching grant from the State Department of Transportation's Freight, Rail, and Rail Crossing Safety Improvement Program. The State Ports Authority will get $825,000 for dock rail improvements at the Port of Wilmington, and the Wilmington Terminal Railroad will get about $575,000 for improvements, including yard switch upgrades. And in Brunswick County, the town of Leland has a new police chief. Jeremy Humphreys has 23 years of law enforcement experience, joining the Leland Police Department in 2012 as a detective and moving up the ranks, most recently serving as Support Services Captain. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Friday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Romel Carpenter with the Storm Track 3 forecast. It's going to be another day like we saw on Thursday with temperatures reaching the upper 70s. Going to be slightly on the humid side as well, under mostly cloudy skies and a few showers off and on throughout the day today. Not expecting severe weather, but an isolated thunderstorm can't be ruled out across the Cape Fear. And as we head towards the overnight hours, holding on to mostly cloudy skies, a few showers and temperatures mild in the middle and upper 60s. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by 2 Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to 2menandatruck.com. 2menandatruck.com.
Teachers and parents, the North Carolina Symphony is here to support you as you carry on the education of your children and students. Take your kids on a free virtual field trip to the Symphony with a virtual education concert and companion student book. Go on a virtual journey to learn what makes music music, with music by William Grant Still, Beethoven, Brahms, and more. Access the free video and student book with password 1932 at ncsymphony.org/virtual.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt US Kids, and the Ad Council.
I am State Farm Agent Rob Renz, and I want to help you get to a better place. Visit us online at ilminsurance.com. That's ilminsurance.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hey, welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. Right here on the Big Talker Network, kicking it on a Friday, the last day of the week, as the weather gets better and everything else gets crazier. That's why you're here. If you would, please take a moment to visit bigtalker.live. Oh, yeah. That's where the schedule is. That's where the email link is. That's where you can contact us with any questions, comments, concerns, critiques, or compliments you may have. We can't improve without your help. And, yeah, what a wonderful morning. Don't forget to download the app for Android and iOS devices. It will make your phone way cooler. I promise. For those of you who tuned in early for Heard Tell and were greeted by the wonderful voice and pen, thank you. We enjoy doing that, and I'm really glad more people are catching on to that. It's a great way, I think, to start the morning. Far more entertaining than listening to more screaming people about, screaming about stuff that we can't do much about. One thing we can do is, take a look at who's running in office and see if we can't change that tonality. Looking at Madison Cawthorn here, the guy is unraveling quicker than a cheap sweater. Yeah, there's a lot of people saying, well, he's been through a lot. Okay, he's been through a lot. Deal with that before you take it out on the American public. If you can't even be honest about what happened in the car wreck, did the guy save your life or did he leave you to die? Make up your mind. Are you a Navy vet or not a Navy vet? You're on the VA committee, but you don't know how much money is being spent on the VA. This is what you call ineffective leadership. This is what you call a narcissistic brat who I hope to hell does not make it into the next primary, make it past this primary. But that's me. Y'all vote the way you want, but definitely not the tightest cat on the planet. Same with the other idiot that went to other guy, person, reality star reject, running on name recognition. Please dig a little deeper. All right. Here's some interesting news coming out of South Carolina. Coming from NPR, a man died of a heart attack while burying a woman he killed, South Carolina sheriff says. The Edgefield County Sheriff's Office is shown above. Investigators in South Carolina, I guess those are the guys at the doorway there, have made a breakthrough in an unusual homicide case involving a man who they believe killed a woman in his backyard, then suffered a heart attack and died as he attempted to bury her. No good deed, dude. Local sheriffs and paramedics say they were initially called to the house in Trenton, South Carolina after receiving a report of an unresponsive man lying in his backyard. When they arrived at the scene, they found the collapsed body of Joseph McKinnon, 60 years old. Also nearby, the body of Patricia Ruth Dent, 65, wrapped in trash bags, lying in a freshly dug pit. While investigators believe McKinnon may have died of natural causes, they immediately suspected foul play in Dent's death. Were the garbage bags a clue? Maybe? I don't know. That scenario was confirmed this week by the coroner, whose autopsy found that McKinnon had suffered a cardiac arrest and that Dent had been strangled. Their pair had been living together at the address in the rural area of Trenton. Evidence gathered at the scene, along with statements from witnesses, aided investigators to build a timeline, leading us to believe that Mr. McKinnon attacked Mrs. Dent while inside their home. Mr. McKinnon then bound her and wrapped her in trash bags before putting her in the previously dug pit. The pit was then partially filled in by Mr. McKinnon. While covering the pit, Mr. McKinnon had the cardiac event causing his death. Dent's twin sister, Pamela Briggs, told the local TV station that she was shocked by her sister's death. Everybody who ever met her liked her. She was just full of energy. She was 65 and working. Mr. Dent worked at the nearby Mount Vintage Golf Club, according to the incident report. Her body wasn't immediately discovered when the first responders were called about McKinnon. Deputies began looking for Dent after a deputy coroner found her wallet at her home on Saturday. At the time, they were starting the process of investigating and notifying loved ones of McKinnon's death. But then the golf course confirmed that Dent hadn't come to work or called in on Saturday, prompting investigators to take a closer look at the large hole dug in the garden area of the yard where Dent's body was found. Till death do us part. Yeah, or permanently unify the two. The prosecution is going to have a bit of a hard time getting a conviction. Guy can't answer for himself right now. Or ever. But still, it's just, there's something poetic. Trying to get away with a murder and you die while trying to get away with murder. That's pretty poetic, I think. I don't know. But it's certainly not out of order with the way the American mindset seems to work right now. This one I thought was awesome. If anybody enjoys watching their tires get blown out by potholes, this story is for you. Coming out of Missouri, tired of waiting, mystery person fills pothole on St. Louis Street, by Andy Banker a couple of days ago. In St. Louis, people are so frustrated with potholes on St. Louis area roadways, they've started filling the potholes themselves. Thousands of potholes remain in the region, but you can now cross the monster pothole on Roseberry Avenue off the list. So if y'all are headed to St. Louis, residents said someone who lives in the area just west of Forest Park got tired of waiting on the City of St. Louis Streets Department and patched it themselves over Mother's Day weekend. Apparently, home improvement stores now sell asphalt patch. There we go. Product by the bag. The patch job included small tiles spelling the words "Eat the Rich" tapped into the asphalt. No one seemed sure why. Later, a man who did not want to be interviewed painted over the message on Monday. Nearby resident Chris Coos was just glad someone filled the pothole after nearly a year with street parking. There was no way. Oh, you left out words. There's no way to avoid hitting it. They left out avoid. And they've updated this story 3 times since it was released, and they still missed it. There are cars on both sides, Hughes said. You don't want to hit them, but you also don't want to hit the pothole. It was a lose-lose. I'm not complaining about the pothole being filled. There's even a candidate for U.S. Senate from St. Louis running on a platform with one primary goal, filling every pothole in America. When I get to Washington, D.C., I plan on introducing my Pot for Potholes legislation, candidate C.W. Gardner said in a social media campaign video. Gardner launched his Republican primary campaign as a satirical jab at the other candidates on the ballot. When asked how much of the campaign is real, Gardner laughed and responded, "That's a good question. I can't answer that. I want to do something called the Missouri Project," properly misspelled. It's on par with the Manhattan Project, where everything is directed toward pothole eradication. What? The Manhattan Project was designed to, like, kill people. And this... Okay, never mind. Tax revenue from federally legalized marijuana... Take two. Tax revenue from federally legalized marijuana sales would pay for the program, he said. People hate potholes so much they're starting to take him seriously. That's happening more and more with especially with my friends. They're starting to say your ideas are good. I'm like, I know they're good. I can't help that. And I don't know what to do at times. I don't know where we're going to go with this. I'm just kind of riding the vibe. Riding the vibe. Okay, the City of St. Louis Streets Department has enough pothole funding, but not enough dry days or workers to fill the close to 1,900 known unfilled potholes just in the city limits. There are significant staffing issues, said the department's director, Kent Flake. We are a little over 40% short on staff currently. That's the biggest thing. We need to get guys in the door. We were supposed to have 2 guys start today. Neither showed up. American. Workers learn skilled trades while getting paid, he said. The city even offered job application assistance. So if you can't fill out the form, they will spell it for you. Just put an X here where it says sign. You don't even have to be educated. You don't even have to know what the letters and characters look like. Application assistance. Really? Okay. Wow. Flake said with a hot, dry forecast and 6-day work weeks planned, more than half of those potholes should be filled within 2 weeks. There's no need to do it yourself. Flake strongly advised against it. The part that gets me is, why did somebody go through all the effort of their own time, their own money, their own stuff to fill in the pothole, and just as a little cherry on top, they put the Eat the Rich tiles, which were, if they're tiles, it makes you wonder, with the little letters on there, if it wasn't the Scrabble tiles, right? So as the asphalt is curing, and they push in the little tiles, tap them in so that it reads Eat the Rich, and then some other jackhole who seems to think he's more important didn't bother to fill in the potholes, but he's so offended by the words. 3 words. Oh my God, I got to spray paint over them because they're so offensive. Why not just dig up the whole pothole and go back to where you were before? That's really showing your appreciation for the person who put in the time, the effort, and the money to make your street a little bit better, that you think you're better than that by not doing anything but getting a can of spray paint and spray painting over the 3 words. Right? What is that? 10 letters, 3 words, closing up a pothole, and this jerk. And of course he doesn't want to be interviewed because they were just going to roast him. What are you doing? Did you do the work to put the asphalt and the tiles in the pothole? No. Then why are you spray painting over it? That I would consider vandalism. Straight up. It's, if I had put this in my yard and somebody came and spray painted it while it was in my yard after I spent the time and the money and the effort to do this, I'd be pretty livid. I hope somebody socks that kid right in the mouth. Take your can of spray paint home, Karen. Or Kanye, or whatever the hell your name is. Because obviously you are not part of the solution, you are the problem. Very much. Ooh. This saves money on insurance. I like this idea. So, cats like us that are, no longer the young ones. David Peskovitz, which I think the name Peskovitz has something to do with fish. And I'm guessing it's Polish? Vitz? I'm not sure. Go out with a bang using this handheld cremation cannon. Folks, this is going to be my funeral right here. The Loved One Launcher is a handheld cannon for scattering ashes with great impact. Powered by not one, but two CO2 cartridges, it apparently can shoot the powdery remains more than 70 feet in the air. You can even add confetti and streamers to the mix for a dreamy visual effect, creating a beautiful, joyful scene that sets the perfect tone for $375. Paying homage to a loved one's life is simple and intimate with what feels like a dynamic daytime fireworks display in their honor. The launcher, of course, should not be aimed at any structure or living thing, as its blast is powerful. It should only be handled and operated by an adult. Avoid shooting into oncoming wind, downwind, or in still air only. And note, it will take 2 shots to disperse all the ashes of an average adult. More shots if confetti is desired. Your results and coverage will vary depending on contents of cannon and wind conditions, if any. That is awesome. So if you're going to go out and you know you're going to go out, take the cannon with you. The Loved One Launcher. That's the perfect name for it. You can launch your loved ones. Okay, so before we get too excited, let's try to avoid taking the Loved One Launcher to the same level as the gender reveal parties. Okay? Because if you're wanting to celebrate the life of someone by setting off a cannon, let's make sure it's one that's not, explosive. Right? And again, how did he put it? What was the warning? Avoid shooting into oncoming wind, downwind, or in still air only. And it will take 2 shots to disperse all the ashes of an average adult. More shots if confetti is desired. Your results in coverage will vary depending on contents of cannon. Well, if it's not an average human and you've added confetti and streamers, you probably doubled the weight of your loved one in CO2 gas. So if it was already a rather large person to begin with, and you've now infused it with CO2 gas, launched it into the air, anywhere near, this would be, we're going to have to bring this up next Wednesday and ask Dr. Cahoon about this, because, we already know what it's like launching balloons into the river, or when groups of balloons land in the river and choke the waterway, or nurdles. Right? Just about every waterway on the planet has been affected by nurdles. So yeah, launching ashes into the atmosphere seems like a great idea. We try not to do that when a building catches fire. We try not to do that with lots of things that, incendiary, etc. But yeah, we're just going to take them and just straight launch them. Right into the atmosphere. Pop, along with all the glitter and confetti and other crap that just really should not be released into the atmosphere. There's a lot of people who think glitter is the greatest thing, but if you've ever cut open a fish and find it sparkling on the inside, that's not a good look, But then again, that's been true since the 50s in plastic, that we've been dropping it into the environment, piddly widdly, as it were. I just got to make sure this works. Stand by. It does work. Aha. See? That's why we do it. Because I know somebody's going to try and call me in a minute. Want to make sure the phone number works. And to make sure that I'm ready for it, I'm going to go ahead and do this and let you all know that we will be right back after these messages right here on the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. We'll have more stories, reports, and updates that you won't get on any other radio station in the area, guaranteed. Don't go nowhere.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. A man convicted as a habitual felon is going to prison for selling cocaine near a Wilmington child care center. After a 3-day trial, 51-year-old Clarence Daly was found guilty of 2 counts of selling cocaine within 1,000 feet of a child care center and several other charges. Daly will serve a minimum of 12.5 years in prison. In 2019, Daly sold crack cocaine to a confidential informant near Howe Pre-K on Mears Street. It's a busy weekend for college commencement ceremonies in the Cape Fear. UNCW will hold 4 ceremonies during its 102nd commencement exercises today and tomorrow to graduate more than 2,700 students, including undergrads, masters, and doctoral students. Cape Fear Community College also holding commencement ceremonies today in Wilmington, and in Bladen County, Southeastern Community College will hold commencement exercises today for the graduating class of 2022. Some improvements are on the way for the North Carolina Ports Authority and 2 local short-line railroads. The improvements come from nearly $11 million matching grant from the State Department of Transportation's Freight, Rail, and Rail Crossing Safety Improvement Program. The State Ports Authority will get $825,000 for dock rail improvements at the Port of Wilmington, and the Wilmington Terminal Railroad will get about $575,000 for improvements, including yard switch upgrades. And in Brunswick County, the town of Leland has a new police chief. Jeremy Humphreys has 23 years of law enforcement experience, joining the Leland Police Department in 2012 as a detective and moving up the ranks, most recently serving as Support Services Captain. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Friday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Romel Carpenter with the Storm Track 3 forecast. It's going to be another day like we saw on Thursday with temperatures reaching the upper 70s. Going to be slightly on the humid side as well, under mostly cloudy skies and a few showers off and on throughout the day today. Not expecting severe weather, but an isolated thunderstorm can't be ruled out across the Cape Fear. And as we head towards the overnight hours, holding on to mostly cloudy skies, a few showers and temperatures mild in the middle and upper 60s. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by 2 Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to 2menandatruck.com. 2menandatruck.com.
Veteran Awareness sponsored by You Are Not Alone. Today's veteran homeless rate is approximately 19,750, and the numbers are declining because of the various veteran programs. If you or a veteran you know is homeless, please call 877-4AID-VET. This is a confidential and toll-free call. From this veteran to other veterans, please be there to help our brother and sister veterans. Again, the number is 1-877-424-3838. And thank you for your service.
I am State Farm Agent Rob Renz, and I want to help you get to a better place. Visit us online at ilminsurance.com. That's ilminsurance.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Folks, the sad truth of it is most of what we're seeing in the news cycle is just noise, and it's recycled noise at that. Nothing informative, nothing that actually helps us discern the times that we live in. That's why we started doing Heard Tell. Every morning, right here on Big Talker Network, 7 a.m. with a replay at 3 p.m., we talk and discuss the issues of the day, culture and politics with knowledgeable guests, no yelling, no caterwauling, just grown folk talk about the issues that matter. Join me, Andrew Donaldson, every weekday morning for Heard Tell.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. Apparently, we have some developments, and less people are interested in supporting the Tesla takeover of Twitter. Our friend Andrew Donaldson had quite the interview on that this morning. How are you doing, Andrew? I'm glad to have you in this morning.
I'm fantastic because I'm up here in the beautiful hills and hollers of West Virginia, and it's a glorious day. There ain't a cloud in the sky, and I'm getting ready to go eat some breakfast, and we got a big family day full of family stuff, so by the end of the day, I'm probably going to be regretting my sobriety. But other than that, things are fantastic.
So, I didn't quite catch all of the interview, but you had an interview with a smart guy talking about how and why Musk's delay, or what is this? We're on hold. Is this sort of a?
Okay, so
we don't do this.
We don't do this
in NASCAR.
Well, we do when it rains. But James Zarnowski came on. He's been on the show multiple times. Great guy. Make sure you're following James CZ on the Twitter. He's on the Young Voices page. He's about 3 lines down from my picture. Just look for him. James is smart. He's doing this week. He goes to these regulatory hearings. He goes to all these meetings. He pays attention to this stuff. Okay, so he's a great guy to talk to this stuff about. Listen to the whole interview. But since we recorded that on yesterday, because I'm traveling, we pre-recorded that. Overnight, Elon Musk announced that the Twitter buyout is on hold. Now, we've been covering it on our show and on your show and on our social media that I'm pretty skeptical that he's ever actually going to own Twitter. I know everybody's all head up about it. I know it's become this cultural thing. We talked about that with James, where all of a sudden, like, the right thinks that Elon Musk is going to save free speech and humanity, and the left has decided that Elon Musk owning Twitter is the fall of the republic. Both of those are idiotically not true. Everybody just calm down a little bit. But overnight, and the headline this morning, talk about your good timing, because we kind of know what we're doing in our business here, TK. Elon Musk was all over the news trending. And so we have it on the show this morning. We were talking about our skepticism of it. Normally, when you do a buyout of another company, you don't get louder, you go quiet. You stop talking about it until the purchase is done. Because it affects things like stock prices. It affects things like regulatory oversight. And the thing with Musk is, ever since he announced this thing, he's gotten louder and louder and louder and louder. So my skepticism was through the roof to start with, because this isn't just Elon Musk, his little cult online and his fanboy. I've got a reply guy on my Twitter feed who he never interacts with me unless I say something bad about Musk, and then within 2 seconds he's replying to me. It's amazing. It's hilarious. But anyway, the Musk people get mad at me. It's like, I don't have anything against Elon Musk. I love Elon Musk's SpaceX stuff. He is pushing things for the good of humanity with the SpaceX stuff. I'm highly critical of the Tesla stuff for reasons we're not going to get into right now, because it's a massive subsidized thing where he's getting billions of dollars in subsidies, not only from the government, but from the other car companies. The other car companies are making Tesla their money, but let's not get into all that right now.
And I do appreciate the battery tech. I mean, so there's a hit and miss with this guy. Half the time he's right on task. Half the time he's just a little over the top.
He is a mad genius. And the thing about geniuses is they're really, really great at whatever they're genius at, and they usually suck at everything else, because that's
like
how
radio
the
shows
works.
in the morning.
Well, no, because we're excellent. But I know a guy that's he's the best doctor in his field, but he can't hold a conversation with another human being because he's a friggin' robot. Like, you can't be that excellent in one area of your life and be great in everything else, because the human limits, this just works. So anyway, but the thing about Elon Musk and his deal is, like, none of this deal makes sense, and I can read. So I remember in 2018, that was not that long ago, kids. Look it up. You can Google it. 2018, it's not the dark ages. 2018, he shot off his mouth on Twitter how he was going to take Tesla private because he got all in a tiff about something. And the SEC wound up fining him $20 million. Tesla had to pay $20 million. He had to step down as chairman of Tesla, which he's not allowed to be chairman of Tesla for 5 years. People keep forgetting this. And, listen to this, the SEC and the FEC, they had to approve any tweets he made about stock options. Because come to find out, he didn't have the money to take it private. He just shot his mouth out about it. And in the financial realm, when you're a CEO or the chairman of the board of a company, you have fiduciary responsibility. I know that's a real big word, and it's early in the morning. Basically, that means if you're an officer of a company, that O in CEO, COO, that O, officer, you have legal obligations and fiduciary responsibilities that you can't skirt. You can't just go on Twitter and say, I have X billion dollars and I'm going to do this with this publicly traded company because it affects the stock prices. And he wound up with a $20 million fine and had to resign as chairman for 5 years over that. So fast forward to now when he says, well, I'm just going to get $44 billion and buy Twitter. Well, number one is all the Tesla people panic because that means he's got to take capital out of Tesla, which is the cash cow, to go buy Twitter, which, by the way, doesn't make money. Especially doesn't make it's not worth $44 billion. It's not worth probably $10 billion. It's probably worth about $4 to $5 billion, if that. So everybody's panicking. The business end of this has never made sense. The political side of this has never made sense. None of this makes any freaking sense other than Elon Musk is shooting his mouth off on Twitter. The puppy caught the truck, and now he doesn't know what to do, and he's got to figure out a way out of it. So that's my theory of the case on this. If I'm wrong, I will come on and say I'm wrong. If Elon Musk ends up buying Twitter, I will say I was wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. I don't think this deal happens.
Do we have any sort of in-game idea for what's going on in his head? Why? First of all, why would anybody want Twitter? Because it's, as mentioned before, it's not a valuable cash-generating business.
Well, it's influential. Yeah, it could be if they did a couple things differently, but it's influential. Like, there's different. You got to decide what you want to be in life. Do you want to be rich? Do you want to be influential? Do you want to be comfortable, or do you want to always be, working hard for that next thing, which keeps conflict in your life? And those things aren't good or bad in and of themselves. You just have to make a decision, right? Like, you have to decide, do I love this corporate job, but it sucks my soul out of me, but I got to do it because I got to feed my family? Or do you go, no, I'm going to do this thing where I do my own company. I'm going to go into business for myself. I'm not going to make as much money. I'm going to have to work a whole lot harder, but spiritually and emotionally, I'll be happier. That's decisions that people make every day. You make those decisions. I make those decisions. That's just called life. When you're one of the richest people in the world, and you're a mad genius, and you got a lot of time on your hands, and you've got a personality where you just bounce from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing because you're spastic, like Elon Musk, this is what happens. He goes, well, sure, I'll buy Twitter. And then he acts like he's going to buy Twitter. And everybody acts like it's the biggest thing in the world, but to him it's not. It's just the next thing for the next 5 minutes of his attention span. I think that has more to do with this than the politics or the business side of it. Now, what's happened is the business side of it catches up to his stuff because the people he actually has to answer to, his shareholders, the Tesla people, the business deals he has, eventually they start getting him reeled in like, no, you can't do this because you're going to destroy Tesla if you do this. You're going to really wreck our business model. So the people that even Elon Musk has to answer to eventually gets through on this stuff. I think that's the stage we're at with this. I don't think this deal goes through. I don't think he ever intended to actually buy it. I think he was just shooting his mouth off. Again, puppy caught the truck. Now he doesn't know what to do with it. So he's going to have to figure out a way out of it. But I might be wrong. We'll see.
It's still kind of mind-boggling. Like in the case of Tesla and the battery development, there seemed to be some sense there. PayPal made sense. SpaceX makes sense. Twitter has never made sense as an entity to me, but it makes even less sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense as a business model.
And it doesn't tie into anything.
But again, Twitter is extremely influential, okay? But influential doesn't, you can have the greatest
Maylocks
product in the world.
Influential.
Exactly. You cannot get by without Maylocks. We have to have Maylocks. But nobody wants to pay for it. Nobody wants to pay a premium for it. Nobody wants to talk about it. All right? Twitter is influential. So you need to treat it as an influential thing and not as, it's never going to be Instagram, which is highly, when you have content creators, they can make way more money on Instagram than they can Twitter, okay? Because of the tie-ins with things like Facebook, there's a more video quality, it's a different audience. Twitter has a specific audience. That's why I'm on Twitter, because that's the audience I'm trying to reach. It's an influential place. It's not a money-making place.
But you're on Instagram as well, right?
No, I'm not on Instagram. I don't have a face for Instagram. We probably ought to do that at some point. But anyway, the thing is, are you going to be influential or are you going to make money? You're never going to, the figure, he's like, we're going to have 69 million pay. Come on, man. Really? 69? That's like the 420 stock price he released. Musk does this. He just shoots his mouth off.
Oh, like the sport cars
I'm not
that spell
enamored.
sexy?
Yeah, look, I'm not enamored. Musk has a lot of fans. And for some reason, the right has decided that politically he's one of theirs. He's not, by the way. And we talk about that with James today. He's heterodox.
No.
Look, these tech bros, the tech bro folks like Musk, they have an anti-establishment rebellious streak to them. And for some reason, people on the right and conservatives, when they do that anti-establishment thing or they push back against the left because they're just annoyed, they think that makes them one of theirs, and it doesn't. It's two different things. But we're going to have James back on because we already talked about this. We want to get into it. But listen to the interview with James today. Really good stuff. James is super bright. He knows this stuff inside and out. Great show today. The last couple shows, yesterday's show with Sarah Stook was so much freaking fun, man. We had fun with it on Twitter, too.
Did you have fun with
social
Madison Cawthorn's Twitter on VA on veterans? The one-line
No.
twit. Apparently, the twit. Is it a twit that twits a tweet?
It is when he does it.
And he claims after this meeting, imagine if we spent $40 billion on veterans. And apparently,
oh my God, what an ignorant.
Yeah, apparently he forgot a number of his own votes against burn pit legislation, et cetera, et cetera.
The VA is the second largest department of government. Read a book, you man.
Oh,
child.
can I throw one more at you? He's on the VA committee.
Oh, he's such a. This is just.
Do not vote for the guy.
You remember Glengarry Glenn Ross, and I can't repeat it because we have FCC limitations, but when Al Pacino just unloads on him, and he's like, "You child, who told you could have a discussion with grown men?" That monologue, remember that one? And he just unloads on the guy with words we can't say on the radio. That's what I want to say every time I see Madison Cawthorn. It's like, "You child, who told you that you could stand in a room and discuss things with men?" Like that. That's Madison Cawthorn. He's he's an overgrown, overprivileged child. He's a despicable human being, morality-wise. He lies about everything. He has no place in polite society. I hope he goes to some kind of place where he gets himself some help to become a decent human being, because he's not. And he acts like a petulant child because he's a petulant child. And the fact that somebody voted for this man to get on, when he first came out, all we kind of knew was like, hey, the guy with the disability made Congress and he's young. Oh, that's kind of a cool story. And then it took 5 seconds of reading into him, like, oh my God, you've elected a monster. What are you doing? and it just keeps going worse. And he complained about the media. I know because I've talked to these people. I had 2 different reporters from major mainstream outlets told me a week ago, because I told you, remember? I was like, that Cawthorn thing going to blow up next week. And he's like, well, the media. I'm like, no. The major media outlets had all that. They had that tape of him that we're not going to get into. They passed on it. They're like, we're not touching this. Like, all the major media outlets had that a week before it broke and passed. They didn't want it. They didn't want to touch any of that because they knew somebody down the line would eventually run it, and they're like, we don't want to get our hands dirty with it. No,
and we want to keep our advertisers.
Yeah, no, Madison, the media's not out to get you. Your own party called a code red to get rid of your sorry self because you're a liability. Take it up with them. You made the wrong enemies, son. You didn't understand how the game was played, and now you're getting run.
You shouldn't have told about the first rule of key bumps. Don't talk about key bumps.
You put the quarter in the jukebox. Enjoy the song you played, man. This is all you.
I can't even imagine those dance steps. Wow. And that's just one aspect. I mean, we have new district here in North Carolina, apparently, and that's causing all kinds of consternation in the area, and that's just, we're still in the primary season. I can't get my brain to go around all of these elections in 100 counties in the state all happening at the same time, and we still don't have a metric by which we can say, this person is a horrible human being and should not be representing us in any way, shape, or form. And the ones who are actually quietly doing the work and being effective aren't getting the attention or, accolades or getting the information out there.
No, look, this is just the environment we live in. There's no point complaining about it. But part of that is you also have to recognize the environment you're working in. That's why we talk about turning down the noise. Like, you can complain about it, or you can be like, okay, this is what's going on, and understand it, and then push along from there. And I'd rather do it that way, because then otherwise you wind up doing silly things like, Elon Musk is going to save free speech. No, what's wrong with you? Quit. I'm so sick and tired. Quit looking for a savior and just put the work in yourself.
That's sort of my point earlier when the guy filled in the pothole, put in 10 tiles that spelled out "Eat the Rich," and somebody was so offended by that. Not the fact that somebody spent the time, the money, and the effort to fill the pothole. They were upset that it said "Eat the Rich" and then spray painted over it. That's who we are. It's somebody's trying to help and just puts their own little message on there, which they did with their time, their money, and then somebody comes along and vandalizes it because "Eat the Rich"? Is that really offensive?
I mean, it was an Aerosmith song on the Get a Grip album, so I don't know how offensive it is since that was, darn near 30 years ago now.
Right.
Good song, by the way. That's another one of those Desmond P. Child joints that he wrote for Aerosmith. Great song. Anyway, I digress.
But the fact that it's on, somebody immortalized it in filling a pothole in front of their house, and this is how we behave. I mean, it's to the point that we have a NFL cheerleader who's trying to find a date by advertising on outdoor billboards. This is the decline of American culture is just, it's melting before our eyes. I'm sorry, the coffee is still not kicking in. It's been a heck of a week. You're out of town. And I'm
out
jealous.
of town until Sunday, so I tell you what, it's one fine darn beautiful day up here. It's about 65, not a cloud in the sky. I'm watching the shadows cross the mountains here. It's pretty good stuff for the soul, and I always enjoy being home. But it's
Are you going to make it back?
Oh, there's always a question like, why am I leaving? And then I remember there's no Wi-Fi, and I'm like, well, that's why. They get broadband. I mean, I love you and all, but they get broadband up here. You're screwed. I'm gone. See, that's the other fun thing about what we do is, I can do radio in Wilmington from anywhere.
Yeah.
I can do radio. Like I did Times Radio for the UK. The London Times, the biggest paper in the world. I did Times Radio from my dining room last week. I did TMZ 3 days ago from my bedroom. Like, this is just the world we live in. And, you have this technology now where we can do all this cool stuff. We need to use it to do good stuff. So.
Yeah. And I'm just humbled by the ability to just plug in a radio station in my garage and do what I can from here.
By the way, you sent me the picture of the new setup. That thing's looking good, man. Like a hookah lounge up in there. It's all saucy. You got the mood lighting and the rugs and stuff. You got that looking good, my friend. I can't wait to come down and see it.
Yeah, the mood lighting was accidental. That's sunlight fighting with the overhead garage door. And I've already swept away most of the spider webs below the 6-foot level.
Who was it? I think it was on one of the HGTV shows. It might have been House Hunters, but they were talking about, having wood and metal in your decor now is called industrial, right? It's like, it's an industrial motif to have wood and metal, and they were in this building in Europe that's like 300 or 400 years old, so of course it's wood beams with the metal joist because that's what they did a couple hundred years ago, right? They put iron bolts through the wood, and that's how they Joyce did things because they didn't have, you didn't have the precision cutting we had now
and top
that
plates.
sort of thing.
Yep.
So, but the poor real estate woman's like, this is an industrial motif, and the guy looks at her and goes, no, they were just poor then.
Yeah, steampunk was not born out of a rich environment.
Oh, it's so funny. He's like, no, they were just poor then. You're trying to make it all fancy now. Back then, they just called it poor.
Yep, and it's just taking all the leftovers that were in the garage, that were in the storage, that were in the cabinets and under the bed and tucked away in the corners of the house, and just sort of all plugged it all together. And
yeah, it's like being home. We have squirrel gravy, and they're all like, "Why would you eat squirrel gravy?" It's like, because they're freaking poor, you idiot. It's the only food they can get. And they decided, you know what would be really good is we should procure some grade A USD choice cut squirrel. That would make excellent. No, they're freaking dirt poor, man. Squirrel runs across the front porch, shoot it and cook it and eat it because you're hungry.
Yeah.
That's how you get squirrel gravy, you morons.
Yeah, most of our food started that way. I mean, it's not that we had the supermarket chains back in the, aught or BC, right? When we first learned how to fish, it's like, well, this fish tastes good, this one doesn't. We just sort of learned as we went along. And... yeah, if a squirrel is edible, it's it's a mammal, it's meat. Okay, deer.
Yeah, self plug here. At my writing website, Yonder and Home, I actually write about things like how we got grilled cheese sandwiches paired with tomato soup. Kraft, J.L. Kraft, who was Canadian by the way, moved to Chicago. He took his last of his money, bought a wagon, and started selling cheese out of the back of his wagon. But the problem is the cheese goes bad really fast. So he figured out how to pasteurize cheese because now it's shelf-stable for longer, right? That's how you get Kraft. That's how we got modern cheese. But back then, he had to go store to store with a friggin' wagon selling cheese because there was no distribution network. So he figured out it's not enough to just make this nice shelf-stable cheese. I need a distribution network.
So I can get it beyond my neighborhood.
Yeah, Chef Boyardee, Campbell's, all these companies back at the turn of the last century, they figured out that you have to mass produce this stuff, but you have to do it in a responsible way. They for the longest time, Campbell's had the largest tomato growing capability in the United States of America because they wanted their own tomatoes for their own supply chain.
Whoa,
for their soups and stuff. So stuff like, you don't realize how much of our food stuff came from folks trying to figure out how to do the supply chains, because before that it was just local shop getting local stuff and you never knew what you were going to get. You don't realize how great it is. I can go to a Food Line in West Virginia, I can go to a Food Line in North Carolina or wherever else, and it's going to be pretty much the same stuff with a few exceptions.
Right.
You don't realize how much logistics has changed the world.
And it was a relationship issue that if you got into some sort of beef with the family who was raising the food that you were buying,
you went,
it was, your daughter and my son are not getting along, therefore you're not getting any of my grain.
Or Hatfields and McCoys, and you get a pig involved, and then people start sleeping with each other. Next thing you know, the bodies start stacking up.
And that's, so the supply chain issue sort of normalized and anonymized, I guess would be a better term, everything about it.
Well, no, because, the Hatfields is like, well, why would you have a blood feud over a pig? A pig can feed a family for the winter. You don't understand. That's like one of the most valuable things you have in that day and age is a pig.
Yeah.
That's weeks worth of eating. You don't screw. That'd be like telling somebody, I'm going to take a quarter of your yearly income. That's what you're dealing with.
Yeah, you're just being robbed at gunpoint, basically.
Yeah, you got to understand the water you're swimming in.
And that's...
But anyway.
I didn't realize it was even that lack of... Because that part I don't think is ever displayed when they're just talking about the family feud of the Hatfields and the McCoys. I had no idea a pig was at the center of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's always sex and food, man. Makes the world go round.
Those are the two most important commodities that we have. And again, it's so popular that people are able to buy the billboard on Times Square. And again, this story is killing me. The NFL cheerleader who can't get a date has to advertise on the Times billboard. I mean, there's a red flag there somewhere.
No. Let me throw the BS. If she wanted a date, BS flag on this story real quick. If she wanted a date, she'd go get a date. You don't say I want a date and then go to major publications and then get a billboard in Times Square and then do media interviews with your makeup done and have a PR agent that puts all that together. No, you want attention. You don't want a date. You want attention. If you wanted a date, you'd go have a date because women that look like that have no problem getting dates. Okay? Now, they may have problems getting quality. That's a different matter. But you can get a date. You want attention. You want to raise your media profile. You want to get on a reality show. You want to make a bunch of money. Don't shine me on with you can't get a date, because if you want a date, you'd go work on getting a date. You wouldn't go get a PR rep and start doing a media tour.
Well,
you don't accidentally wind up with a media tour. BS. Okay. That's coordinated.
I do need to clarify one point that I didn't understand. The cheerleader's best friends, two of her best friends, decided to display her entire dating profile on a 48-foot billboard in Times Square.
Yes, because there was no coordination involved with that. That was completely spontaneous. Because average people can just get a billboard on Times Square. Come on, man, we're not stupid. God, you could. There's rich people that couldn't get on a billboard in Times Square. This is all coordinated. Somebody put this together. Just stop it.
Well, we are invoking the names of Cardi B and Jay-Z and Beyonce and Machine Gun Kelly. And she's also a television, she's a traffic reporter now.
Yeah,
so she's on TV.
This is somebody who feels like their media profile isn't as high as it ought to be. That is 100% what this is.
Okay.
That's 100% what this is. I'm not as famous as I should be, so how can I get more famous? That's this story. It has nothing to do with dating anybody.
Weird. Yeah, that's probably not my dad. The only advice he gave me that didn't suck was, if you're going to find a person of quality to be in a relationship with, a museum or a church is a good place to start. You're not going to find them in a nightclub. You're not going to find them on a billboard.
Nope.
You're going to find quality people engaged with things that they enjoy. You got to get out of here, I bet. Go family.
Yep, I got to run. I got a ton of family stuff all day today, but you do well, my friend.
And a stack of pancakes are waiting for you.
I wish.
With squirrel gravy.
Continental breakfast with the from the Latin word for starving to death. So we'll see. All right, brother. Talk to you soon.
Thanks so much for your time, dude. Have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday, if not before.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Take care. All right, with that in mind, I think we're going to have a little bit of fun ourselves. Take a little news and weather break. And when we come back, I'm going to unpack this story a little bit more because it is just too... it's obscene, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, do you know how much money it is to rent a billboard? It's meant to advertise large companies who generate millions and millions of dollars, but instead, it's being used to make money. And that's right, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back after these messages right here on the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. Don't go nowhere.
Keeping Ocean Isle informed. The Big Talker 106.7 FM WFBT, Carolina Beach.
Folks, the sad truth of it is most of what we're seeing in the news cycle is just noise, and it's recycled noise at that. Nothing informative, nothing that actually helps us discern the times that we live in. That's why we started doing Heard Tell. Every morning right here on Big Talker Network, 7 a.m. with a replay at 3 p.m., we talk and discuss the issues of the day, culture and politics with knowledgeable guests, no yelling, no caterwauling, just grown folk talk about the issues that matter. Join me, Andrew Donaldson, every weekday morning for Heard Tell.
Neil Armstrong waited 6 hours and 39 minutes to step onto the surface of the moon. Jackie Robinson waited 20 months to play his first game with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And even DiCaprio had to wait 22 years to win an Oscar. You can wait until your destination. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. A man convicted as a habitual felon is going to prison for selling cocaine near a Wilmington child care center. After a 3-day trial, 51-year-old Clarence Daly was found guilty of 2 counts of selling cocaine within 1,000 feet of a child care center and several other charges. Daly will serve a minimum of 12.5 years in prison. In 2019, Daly sold crack cocaine to a confidential informant near Howe Pre-K on Mears Street. It's a busy weekend for college commencement ceremonies in the Cape Fear. UNCW will hold 4 ceremonies during its 102nd commencement exercises today and tomorrow to graduate more than 2,700 students, including undergrads, masters, and doctoral students. Cape Fear Community College also holding commencement ceremonies today in Wilmington, and in Bladen County, Southeastern Community College will hold commencement exercises today for the graduating class of 2022. Some improvements are on the way for the North Carolina Ports Authority and 2 local short-line railroads. The improvements come from nearly $11 million matching grant from the State Department of Transportation's Freight, Rail, and Rail Crossing Safety Improvement Program. The State Ports Authority will get $825,000 for dock rail improvements at the Port of Wilmington, and the Wilmington Terminal Railroad will get about $575,000 for improvements, including yard switch upgrades. And in Brunswick County, the town of Leland has a new police chief. Jeremy Humphreys has 23 years of law enforcement experience, joining the Leland Police Department in 2012 as a detective and moving up the ranks, most recently serving as Support Services Captain. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Friday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with the Storm Track 3 forecast. It's going to be another day like we saw on Thursday with temperatures reaching the upper 70s. Going to be slightly on the humid side as well, under mostly cloudy skies and a few showers off and on throughout the day today. Not expecting severe weather, but an isolated thunderstorm can't be ruled out across the Cape Fear. And as we head towards the overnight hours, holding on to mostly cloudy skies, a few showers and temperatures mild in the middle and upper 60s. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by 2 Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to 2menandatruck.com. 2menandatruck.com.
I'm Trey Allen, conservative candidate for the North Carolina Supreme Court. As a Marine Corps veteran, practicing attorney, professor of law, and father of 5, I want to pass on the precious freedoms that we inherited to the next generation. For that to happen, we need judges who will faithfully apply our Constitution and our laws, not rewrite them to achieve specific outcomes. If you share my commitment to liberty, please vote Trey Allen in 2022. Paid for by Trey Allen for Justice.
One Love Tennis started in 2013 to give back to young boys and girls. We now go through 460 kids a week that are learning about life skills, learning to succeed in life through academics and tennis. Putting those two together, if you do them well, you can write your own ticket. To get involved in this program, go to our website, one-love-tennis.org.
Hi, this is Justin Humphreys from the Humphreys Law Firm on Eastwood Road. Tune in Thursdays from 6 to 7 p.m. for Objection to the Form, covering civil litigation, real estate issues, and intellectual property. That's Objection to the Form, Thursdays 6 to 7 p.m. right here on the Big Talker 106.7 FM.
Hey, welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. Right here on the Big Talker Network. Listening to that trash beat over there. So while we have you, make sure you take time to visit the BigTalker.live website, BigTalker.live website. There you will have access to the schedule of programming and content. Should be links to send us an email with any comments, questions, concerns, compliments, or critiques you may have to help us improve as a station, meeting your needs here in southeastern North Carolina. Also recommended that you download the app for Android and iOS devices so you can take the Big Talker Network anywhere and everywhere you want to be. Can't brag enough on the new content that we're bringing in to help displace some of the stale content. Voice in the Pen renews every week. We do a show every Wednesday night, which is simulcast from 8 to 10. The show itself is 7 to 10. You can catch the live stream, but at 7 o'clock, we have When Radio Was, and I have a number of people who really enjoy that program, and I'm not going to upset that schedule. So we just sort of go around it on the radio side, but the live stream carries it, and every morning from midnight to 7 a.m. is all about the local singer-songwriters. So with that in mind, we bring it to you for, the 7 hours in the morning, another 3 in the afternoon, and a couple more at night. You're getting half your day is music and half of your day is smart conservative talk radio. And conservative, I do not, is not necessarily a political or party definition or delineation. It's just, we try not to be in the bat crap business, which is why we have such a difficulty with Cawthorn as a representative in our state, or at least I do, and a number of the people that listen to this station and participate in this station also have, very, very similar. Anyway, please just don't vote for that guy or the other idiot from the reality show. I mean, come on. Anyway, coming out of New York, an NX, we were referring to this a little earlier because it's just outlandish. Ex-NFL cheerleader gets Times Square billboard to find love. This traffic reporter is stopping traffic in the name of love. Okay, clever. How's that working out for you? Shaw Tab, I guess I'm pronouncing that right, a former NFL cheerleader for the Miami Dolphins who now works as a traffic reporter in South Florida, has her dating profile on full display across a massive 48-foot billboard in Times Square thanks to her best wing women helping her find a mate. Tab's friends Jackie and Sherry, spelled in the most heinous of ways, made the dating profile on Wingman, a dating app that allows friends and family to meddle in the love lives of their loved ones. And is probably more profitable than Twitter already. They described their 5'11" brown-eyed brunette BFF of more than 10 years as ambitious and down-to-earth, calling her kind, loving, friendly, beautiful, genuine, and easy to talk to. Okay, side note, I have never seen a aesthetically challenged cheerleader in my life. And if that isn't enough of a sell, Tab, a career woman with a big personality, brings a lot of fun to the table working in television and entertainment. She's been featured in music videos like Cardi B's I Like It and once worked as a backup dancer for Pitbull. Her friends say she's bumped elbows with A-listers such as Jay-Z, Beyonce, and Machine Gun Kelly, so it's safe to say she's not shy and won't be a wallflower on a potential first date. Okay, if those are the group of friends she wants, she's already off my list. I mean, Machine Gun Kelly and the other one? No, hell no. I am a true believer that you are the only thing standing in your way, Tab told local news outlet VoyageMIA.com in 2019 when discussing her career. Perhaps she's doing exactly that when it comes to finding love. She's active, loves to travel, runs a marathon, and she's a dog mom. We're hoping we can find her someone as special as she is. Jackie and Sherry, who work in radio with Tab for more than a decade, said in an emailed statement to the Post, adding that Tab is looking for a serious relationship. Hopefully prospective singles who lock eyes with Tab's billboard up at 727 7th Avenue between 48th and 49th Streets, just opposite the M&M store and next to an ad for Olivia Rodrigo's Sour album, in case you were wondering. Are tourists from South Florida or those willing to go long distance, her friends suggested? Because, yeah, why advertise in New York when you're in Florida? I think the BS flag Andrew threw up earlier is starting to, come into focus a little clearer. Tab's dream, man. Oh, nice. I get to do both. Sweet. You are... okay. Tab 3-man will be athletic, health conscious, and into sports like she is. She's also looking for a family man and hopes to one day have children. I think she would love to just meet someone local or not too far away from sunny South Florida, Jackie said of her friend in an email, adding, "There's just so many things I can say about my friend, but I truly hope that we can find someone as special as she is because she's so sweet and deserves to be happy." She looks happy. Right? Okay. The inspiration for making Tab a billboard of her own came after her friend saw a viral, heartfelt dating profile from a mom with cancer, Beth Davis, who made a similar profile for her daughter, Molly. Beth hoped to find Molly the man of her dreams with a flashy tagline, "Date my daughter," making her mission to know I'm leaving her in good hands. "Considering I have serious health issues, there is urgency," Davis told the Post in January. Tab's story, meanwhile, caught the attention of dating app Wingman CEO Tina Wilson, who said in a statement, "It goes to show you can be beautiful inside and out and a professional cheerleader even, and still struggle to find the right partner." Yeah, I think there's something else involved here, and it's preceded by a $sign. I could be wrong. But no matter what you may think of it directly or indirectly, it certainly has its own momentum at this point. So maybe dating apps and swiping right isn't enough. Right? Let's see, 48-foot billboard is the, so you're looking at... A billboard's going to be, 52 feet by 38 feet? Somewhere in there. I mean, I know the hypotenuse, and I'm trying to discern the width and height of this thing. So it's massive. It's a lot bigger than the cell phone. Of course, it's probably the same size if you held your cell phone at arm's length, maybe? I don't know. But this is all about attention. This is about... it's just rude, personally. But if she really wanted to date and wanted those types of people in her life, that's where she would go. The problem is, since she's already so well known, that you're going to have all the regular Americans looking to date as well. So that would obviously lend itself to not being the type of person that she would want to date in the long term. Interesting. Maybe not as interesting as I thought, but I still think, that's spending a boatload of money just for mating. That's just, something about that just doesn't... Oops. Wrong way. Wrong button. My thumbs are fat. Very, very fat. And it comes from guitar playing. How about ambivalence? How about a little bit of ambivalence here? How important is tradition to you? Right? This is an Australian. Love these guys because if anybody wanted to throw a middle finger at the establishment, these guys could teach America a lot. And in this story, we're going to go with the bride and groom flip a coin at their wedding to decide whose last name to take after getting married. How's that? A bride and groom decided to leave their life decision up to fate by tossing a coin after struggling to choose a surname. A bride and groom have flipped a coin at their wedding to decide whose surname they were going to take after getting married. Pearl Lee, 28, and Colin Hansen, 25, from the U.S., tied the knot in March this year after they met while working at their college library. After getting engaged in November of 21, the couple realized they were the final member of their families to carry on the last name. Well, that's a little bizarre. And so the pair decided to leave their life decision up to fate by tossing a coin after struggling to choose a name. At the end of the ceremony, an officiant flipped a coin, with Colin, a software engineer, winning the toss, making them Mr. and Mrs. Hansen. Pearl, a teacher, came up with the idea after she heard someone joke about flipping a coin to decide their surname on a podcast. The idea stuck, Pearl said. I thought it was really funny. Wedding guest Alyssa Danielle shared a TikTok video showing the couple's heartwarming toss at the altar. Your friends decide whose last name they are taking by a flip of a coin at the altar. Her video has been viewed more than 1.8 million times, with many saying they are loving the idea. My husband took my last name. Things are definitely changing, and I love it, one wrote. Another said this is how it should be done. One added, honestly, best idea I've ever seen. Another suggested, I know a couple whose families had a paintball match to decide. Winning side determined the last name. One revealed, my parents did this. We all have my mom's name now. My husband took my last name, and he didn't leave one. Never mind. While another said, now that's funny, but I've been trying to get rid of my last name for years. No one can pronounce it. Meanwhile, many explained how they decided on the surname after tying the knot. I took my husband's name because mine was boring. That was 100% of the thought put into the decision. Another said, my wife and I chose our own last name. So cool to see so many people open to this now. One revealed, my husband took my last name. His dad's side of the family has a bad reputation in our area, and we didn't want that stigma for our daughter. And now you understand from that alone why I don't use my last name on the air. Yeah, too much old paperwork to deal with. But yeah, this is how important things are to us, right? It used to be the entire bloodline by name and divine selection and whatever else, and now suddenly it's like, yeah, we'll just make up a name. But apparently there are some parameters to the name. You can't have numbers in your name. I didn't know that. You can't have any funky special characters. Elon Musk discovered that unless you're born in Greece, you can't use the Grecian combo letter things. I did not know that. I did not know that a pig was at the heart of the Hatfield and McCoys. I thought it was just a bunch of idiots in the Southwest eating peyote and losing their minds. And, of course, sex was involved. It's like the precursor to West Side Story. Yeah. That should have been, like, one of the first clues that as a species, as a subspecies, human Americana, Humanus Americanus, or what is that? Hominid Americanus. That's a unique species that is not meant to last long. There's just too many examples of it, and I'm almost embarrassed to be a part of it. I mean, it's like, I would much rather at this point be a dog. Here's a story as to why I would want to be a dog. All right, you ready for this? UPI, Universal Press. Ben Hooper, dog escapes from baggage handlers on airport tarmac. May 10. Mexico. A witness at an airport in Mexico captured a video when a dog escaped from baggage handlers and led them on a merry chase across the tarmac. They left out the Mary. I fixed it for them. The video, filmed at Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla International Airport in Guadalajara, Jalisco, shows baggage handlers chasing after a dog that escaped from its crate in transport. It was unclear whether the plane had just arrived or was preparing to depart when the canine decided to get... the filmer said the baggage handlers were eventually able to corral the errant canine. Because you do what you want, right? If you can't eat it or play with it, you're just going to pee on it and walk away, right? I mean, that's the philosophy of being a dog. You don't need a billboard to find you another dog. You just find another dog. Oh, look, there's a dog. It's got a tail and 4 legs. We're good. Let's go. 48-foot billboard on Times Square. Really? Bet me money she doesn't run for office in the next 10 years. I bet you a donut. Not just any donut. It'll be a Brit donut. I'll even go down to Carolina Beach and stand in that 5-hour ridiculous frickin' line to get it. If she doesn't run for some sort of office in the next 10 years. Because that's just a popularity thing. That's just I want to stay in front of your consciousness because I'm important. And I want Machine Gun Kelly to think I'm cool. I'm sorry, if Machine Gun Kelly is not anybody I would want in my life, period. Period. And I used to think Megan Fox was, had potential. Yeah, we saw her level of she has overshot her level of mediocrity and is now settling back down, dropping the bar further day by day. Yep, just like Denise Richards. I thought she had a chance, had some potential, and then Charlie Sheen. Whoops. Just for fun, on this date, we're going to go back to 1787 and bring it into the future. Well, sort of. It is 1787. Arthur Phillip sets sail with 11 ships of criminals to Botany Bay, Australia. See how that worked out? Now they got people just choosing their own names with a coin toss all willy-nilly. Couldn't do that in America. They had to go to Australia to get married so they could do a coin toss to determine the last name. How's that? 1934, the Great Dust Bowl storm sweeps across the U.S. prairies. 1940, Winston Churchill says, "I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat," in his first speech as Prime Minister of the British House of Commons. And he had a lot of it, and it did a lot of good. I mean, that's one of Britain's best. 1981, Pope John Paul II is shot and critically wounded by Turkish gunman Mehmet Ali Akşa in St. Peter's Square, Vatican City. That was horrible. I was like in high school when that happened. In 1989, this one was even more fun. This is the one that really kind of got the world to, the event, 1989, 2,000 students begin hunger strike in Tiananmen Square, China. Now, ever since, the Vietnam and Korean conflicts, when we were able to actually have footage brought to the living rooms of ladies and people around the world, you couldn't look away anymore. And that's sort of what happened with the Tiananmen Square, the one guy standing in front of a tank. These are powerful images. And anyway, that's how they get made, just to let you know. That was our history. That's where we are up until, 1989. As of a couple of months ago, the world has been redefining itself. The European nations are sort of coming to terms with that one jackass in the neighborhood. It's like you're just smashing mailboxes and burning yards for fun, and then, finally the neighborhood watch is like, hey, enough of that. But this is a fragile ego on a narcissistic human being. And we narrowly escaped that ourselves, and of course the opposing choice to such narcissistic obscenity was the current strong man uh, 330 million people in America, ladies and gentlemen. We can do better. We can. I want to be represented by somebody who cleans up, not somebody who makes messes. I want to be represented by somebody who's actually involved, that has shown leadership and involvement in their life, in their private life, in their personal life, in their civilian life. I want them to be more mature than a man who continues to drive on revoked license expecting a different treatment each time he's busted. I want someone who has the wherewithal to not forget where his gun is. So when the TSA finds it a second time getting on the plane, it doesn't look like you're an entitled jackweed. I mean, 10.5 million in North Carolina. We can do better than Madison Cawthorn. We already kicked what's the other guy? Mark Meadows. We kicked him to the curb. Except he's still registered in North Carolina, Virginia, and South Carolina. Apparently, he stayed in a double-wide trailer on the backside of Appalachian Mountain here in North Carolina while owning a $1.6 million mansion in South Carolina and now living in another mansion in Virginia, but able to vote in all 3 states. So any one of us who work a regular freaking job thinks that this guy is representing you. Is that the type of dishonesty that you run in your own life? Then certainly vote for the guy that most accurately represents you. I'm not seeing any in this current crop. Either side. But that's me. And I'm sitting in an interesting position with a nexus of information around me. Right, I have every GOP chairperson in the area on my call list. We communicate, and the chairs are doing a great job making their county, making their area, making their little spot a pinnacle or a beacon for the information on the candidates. In the primary, the GOP itself, and the DNC has these as well, or Democrat have their own little headquarters scattered around the state. And that's where you go for good information. And they hold events. I know the ones that I work with, the GOPs I work with, have had a number of Meet the Candidate events. So you don't have to rely on the millions of dollars they spend on advertising on television for the 30-second blurb trying to convince you to vote for them. You can actually ask them directly. Have coffee with them. Or pizza or whatever the event happens to have. Or maybe it's a BYO. I don't know. But it's not for lack of information. That information is there. And for the voters that are actually involved, that's what you call an informed voter. And the ones that just sort of show up on Tuesday morning exercising their civic duty, I mean, salute to you, but if you're going to do it by name recognition, we're going to have more of the same nightmares that we've been having for the last 20, 30 years because nobody's thought to read into what's going on, who's involved, and why we shouldn't vote for these people. Or why we should. What have they done? Not what they're going to do. Don't tell me your pretty little wordy words. Show me your voting history. Right? That's what Paul Vallone does. That entire grassroots organization does a couple of things. One, they go through the voting history of every candidate. And they also send out surveys, which are basically the candidate answering their own questions for themselves. It's not somebody answering for them. It's like, hey, if you're running for this office, how do you feel about these elements that are important to our PAC? Of course, we're getting into a gray area where I don't think PACs should exist at all. I think all the money should be taken out of politics. Advertising money should be gone. Campaign funds should be gone. Political action committees and lobbyist funds should be gone. That money could be much better spent directly helping Americans rather than trying to manipulate the lobbies to continue to do heinous things to the American people in the interest of public or profit for these companies. Big Pharma is not lobbying Congress on your behalf. Not at all. They are lobbying Congress to make sure that they are unfreaking touchable. And there are a number of PACs along these lines. That's not a unique example. I'm just pointing one of them out. And if we are going to improve as a human species, we need to improve how we treat each other, how we legislate the lives and rights of the people around us. But We don't seem to get that unique opportunity at all. Nope, nope, nope. This is your opportunity to change it. The only way it can be changed, our only recourse, ladies and gentlemen, is voting. And we only get to do it every 2 years, right? Every other election is a primary, every other election, or is a midterm rather, and then every other election is a real election. And that's the one that everybody pays attention because look at all the pretty colors, look at the logos, look at the chants, look at the slogans. But it's the people that are on your school board that are going to determine what your kids are reading when they go to school, right? And that's where the lowest turnout and the highest level of apathy in voters is likely to occur. Your fault. Our own fault. If we don't vote or we vote like stupid people, we get what we deserve out of that. So please, ladies and gentlemen, even if you're not listening to my voice, or if you are, or if you know somebody who should, go read. Go down to the headquarters of your party, whether it's a Republican or Democrat, doesn't matter. Go to both. Take a look at all the candidates. Start informing yourself so that if you want to see some changes, being the change is all well and good. Be the change you want to see in the world. But you also need to vote for the change you want to see in the world. And if you want more of the same damaging stuff, then yeah, hang all of your credentials on an endorsement from somebody who's already known to be one of the most heinous humans on the planet. Obviously not somebody I would invite to dinner, but I would invite our next guest to dinner. I'm guessing this is my friend CB. Uh-oh. I'm using the wrong ones. There he is. That's CB.
Hey, you got me?
Yep, he's driving somewhere, it sounds like.
I am driving to hopefully a spot with better cell phone reception.
Nice. And over the, what was it? Today's Friday, so it's been like 2 days. It seems like a week since we were at the Waterline Brewery with a collection of, let's see, the Tedward Trio, the Grays, Wes Hunter. There's two more I'm missing. Who am I missing?
Tim Murray.
Tim Murray.
Yep, and
Leah Watts.
Yes, Leah Watts, accompanied by John Huston. So you must be talking about the Voice and Pen. Are we talking about the Voice and the Pen again today?
The new program that runs nearly 12 hours on the Big Talker? No, not at all.
No, oh, that's too bad. I was really hoping to talk about the Voice and the Pen. Can we do that anyways?
Sure.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, so we were just fresh off of another wonderful weekly Wednesday show with a lot of great local musical talent here in Wilmington, bringing their original tunes to us, and that's what the Voice and the Pen is all about, and we're grateful to be on the Big Talker as well, so thanks for making that happen, TK.
And full disclosure, C.B. Johnson is one of the hosts of the program. He helps, make sure the artists know where to be and, what not to do. That's helpful to me.
Well, I mean, you do have that whole big sign on the back of the soundboard that says no touch. So that's, start there with what not to do. Do not go inside of that.
Yep, past this line, you risk your life. And that's all there is to it.
And your sound. And your sound.
And everybody's sound.
Oh, yeah, not just, yeah.
Now, this has been going on for nearly a year now.
That's right. I think our anniversary date is July 28th, so we're coming up on a full year of Voice in the Pen performances on Wednesday nights, and we've been doing the live stream component of this for about 2 months now. Is that right? Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, since March time frame, and it's been a ton of fun and really enjoyable to get the music out and to get to meet all these new and fabulous artists. Some of them I've met, and some of them, we're meeting for the first time when they show up at the Voice in the Pen.
Now I understand. Let's see. I'm going to let her know. Could we have a co-host, Emily, as well? And between the two of you, you guys are curating quite the list of artists that most of them may not even have been aware of.
Yeah, and that fortunately has gone really, really well for us. And it's kind of two parts to the curation. One part is the relationships that we already have. And then the second part is both referrals as well as folks coming to us from seeing our social media and observing what's happening with the Voice in the Pen online. So we're in Wilmington, North Carolina. We've had some people reach out to us from as far away as Charlotte, Raleigh, Myrtle Beach to come and play this showcase that we have.
We're gaining some attention, it seems like. We've got some subscribers going up. We have more artists contacting us rather than us trying to beg performers to come to perform. It's starting to generate its own legacy, its own life. That's fun.
Yeah, it really is. It's starting to kind of gain legs of its own, and we're grateful for that. You know, I think that for as long as I have been involved with any sort of public music, which is not, terribly long compared to some, I'd say about 10 years at this point, local music is and should be a focus, and I also feel like there hasn't been enough of a spotlight put on it. So that's really the impetus behind the Voice in the Pen, and I'm grateful that Emily had that vision when she founded it, and super grateful to be a part of it so that we can help elevate local music. We've got some great original songwriters, some great guitarists, some great singers, and some people that can do all three at an amazingly high level. And to be able to give them a platform to get their music out there to perform to a listening audience is really a cool thing to be able to do.
And I believe Emily has joined us.
Yes.
Good morning. There we are. Very excited to have you on the show. Had a great time Wednesday night.
Yeah, Wednesday night was an amazing show.
Now, as one of the original people been at this for a little over a year, how did it come to be? Was it just like one day you just got tired of playing cover tunes to the back of the bar, or how'd that happen?
I would say it sort of came to be because I used to live in Nashville, and the Bluebird Cafe exists. And if you don't know what that is, or if anyone doesn't know what that is the place to go in Nashville that is the listening room.
Yeah.
So it is, mostly they do in the round, and that was the first place that I had ever seen in the round done with songwriters. And I just really loved the concept, and it was just something that I really enjoyed going to. And so I just felt, I don't know exactly how it came up, but I just felt that was something that was needed here in Wilmington, and that I felt that a lot of the musicians in town would really appreciate being a part of something like that.
And it seems to be resonating.
Yeah, for sure.
And now CB's on board. The two of you have just cut a promo that's going to be used to help bring more of the business community into the fold, to bring an opportunity to support something as unique and original as this. I mean, it's supporting arts, which is sort of an expression of the human condition, whether you like that particular artist or not. Every show that I've done has had a variety of artists, so if you're not a fan of this style or this sound, there's definitely something for you that evening.
I think that's definitely
I agree.
true. Yeah.
How do you guys pull that off week after week? That's a big question, isn't it?
Yeah, I
I think.
Go ahead, CB.
Go ahead, Em. You go first.
Ladies first. I'm going to let Emily have at it.
I would say that there is always, it's like this past Wednesday night, a lot of people were saying, what a great show it was, and they're like, well, it's always a great show, but this show was like super great, like the lineup you had and the mix of people and variety. And to that I say there's always an attempt to make every show be the best, and depending on schedules of certain artists. You can't always make it exactly how you want it to be, variety-wise. But there are, I think, great, like, happy surprises with how they turn out sometimes that I can't even fully take credit for. So
dig.
It just ends up working out that way sometimes, and then, you know, everybody's like, well, this was such an amazing, we'll say, you know, episode, as we're calling them, this week. So
And it's
I think.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think, you know, to Emily's credit, a lot of it has to do with just intent or intention. When she and I were talking about me coming on board to co-host and like what we want the show to look like, one of the things that she said is that she wanted each event to be remarkable. And so I think that intent carries through every single time, and it shows up every single time. You know, sometimes some shows are slightly better than other nights, maybe because all the musicians are having a specifically great night for some unknown reason, or you know, the energy in the room is just really good, or we have a great audience. But at the end of the day, it's the intent in the curation and in the presentation of the show to make it a remarkable experience, not only for the artists, but for the audience as well. And I think that intent really carries a long way. So kudos to you, Emily.
Yes, thank you. Now, I have another question about the venues. We used two of them, the Waterline Brewing and Live at Ted's, both on Surrey Street, or at the end of Castle and right there at the river. I mean, it's beautiful, beautiful environment. You know, parking access and that sort of thing were of importance, but the development of the relationship with venues that, in the case of Live at Ted's, is already a listening room environment. But Waterline was more of a, I don't know, a millennials beer garden, and they've sort of tweaked Wednesdays just for us. And the development of that relationship, or those relationships, I should say, how did those come to be? Who wants to take that one?
I'll tackle that one. I think Live at Ted's is a little bit the easy one, from the perspective that Trent Harrison and Whitney Harrison, the owners of Live at Ted's, and also Hourglass Studios, have been huge supporters of local music since they arrived in Wilmington. And Emily and I have both recorded with Trent. We both performed at Live at Ted's, and Trent is super easy to work with. He's very approachable, and that was an easy and natural fit. You know, the Waterline venue was a little bit more of us thinking about where we were before and what we wanted in terms of a new venue to be our regular Wednesday night hangout, I guess, if you will. And, you know, the things that we came up with were like one level load-in, free parking, an existing and supportive musical partner, and also a stage. And, you know, Waterline had all those things, and so we just entered into a conversation with them. Emily actually is the person that got us the appointment with them, and we went in and chatted, and they were really excited, and we've been grateful to be partnered with them for about 2 months now.
Yeah, Rob and Eve have always been open to incredible performances. I've done a number of the Mardi Gras events and a number of other live music events that they really do want that to be a focus as much as their beer. And it just so happens they have a really cool spot right on the river. Now,
we could 100%.
Now, Emily, how would you encourage more people to get involved with the singer-songwriter side of this? If somebody has a few lines of words and maybe knows a couple of chords, what would you have for him? Oh, I hope I didn't.
You mean to sort of develop their skills?
Yeah, to want to get involved, you know, to not be afraid of taking that step.
You know, I would say that anybody who is a singer-songwriter or is working to write songs that comes to this show, I personally would say that they would be inspired. And honestly, I feel that everybody that is on our stage is very approachable and always, I think, open to working with other musicians to help them develop their skills. You know, I feel like I will say, like, John Hussman, for example, is always down to play music and always down to help, you know, teach these other singer-songwriters who want to develop themselves into a place where they can be on stage. So I think that we're all very approachable, and I think that the community is really just like coming together to support each other. And you know, there's just nothing to be afraid of, I guess, is what I'd say.
And I like that word, that it is something of a community amongst itself, that these are people that are, you know, supporting each other in their own little world, I guess, their own little universe. Not detached from humanity, but certainly reflecting on humanity. I think a lot of the songs that I've heard so far are very much in touch with the human condition, what it is to be alive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's to me, that's the reason why we do arts in the first place. Now, is it a complicated thing? Like, is this you know, big production and you got to sign all kind of waivers and legal disparities, and or is this just get up there, play, and have fun? Like, you're not terrified when you get up to play, are you?
No. No. I mean, you know, there's definitely a level of getting past, I would say, for probably a lot of artists, because I think artists are just naturally that way. But I think, yes, once you get past like a certain level of anxiety you might have over this, I think that, again, you'll find that the audience is always welcoming and it's never a negative experience. So I think it would just propel you to continue doing it.
Yeah, I have yet to see the audience carrying spears.
They're very receptive to the different varieties of music. You know, I mean, we've had Stephen Chops Wood on, who has more of a what I would say a metal singer's voice in some of his songs, or majority of the songs. And when I look out to the audience to see their receiving of that style, because it's so different from what we normally put on, they were all just like exactly what they normally do, clapping, smiling, happy, you know, just taking in that different style.
Because everything that was in his song material, which is also available on the rotation, because Voice in the Pen airs on Big Talker for 7, 8, 10 hours a day, and it's fun to hear. You know, we had a singer-songwriter, the guy that did "How Do You Wear My Hat?" I can't remember his name. Clever song, and then on that same stage,
yeah, Taylor Bissett.
Yeah. And on that same stage, like, this is the in the round that maybe some people don't understand. When I saw Yes in the round, the audience went all the way around the band. In this case, it's 4 artists on the stage, and they take turns playing one song each through the line. So you hear this, you know, the song, I think it was How Do You Wear My Hat? And then at the end of it, you know, 2 songs later, you have Stephen Chops Wood with one of his aggressively presented tunes, you know, and it's not out of order, you know, it's still sonically at the same level, it's still listenable, it's still understandable, and his songs are just as valid, that the lyrics are of the same type of awareness of what it is to be alive as it is any of the other artists that are up there. And that's been fun, because you've had gospel level, you know, gospel style, you've had country western style, you've had more your hippie jazz-ish style, and it's just been amazing.
Yeah, it's been really neat to have those different combinations of artists on stage at one time, and I think that's something that we strive for in the curation process, especially for our rounds. And we're really excited about next week's Songwriters Round, and we got a great lineup set up for next week with Emily is going to be in a round with Monica Jane Holscher, as well as Madonna Nash and Christian Chisholm. three fabulous musicians, and I think my round is me and Jesse Stockton. And I got to go look at my spreadsheet to remember everybody else that's in the round. But we're really excited about what we're doing next week.
Dick Newman and Winston.
That's right, Jake and Winston. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, Jake. Sorry, Winston. I do know you, and I do remember you, but there's a lot in my brain.
There's a lot of data going on here, right? And we also have food trucks on Wednesday night. That also makes it fun.
Yeah.
And so you can have.
TK,
sorry.
Go ahead. Keep going. Roll with the food, man. Go with the food.
I was going to say food and beer. They got flights of beer leaving every 15 minutes from the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And food trucks every week. I don't have that list in front of me, but it's just as diverse as the music. So it's never like the same fare each week. When you come in, it's going to be a lot of fun. You just don't know what it is yet.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a great environment. It's a good atmosphere, and we're grateful that to have such a great partner with Waterline. They have obviously great beer. They bring in great food trucks, but they also are willing to really make this space into a listening room. It's not quite as quiet as Ted's, and that's to be understood and a little bit expected. But at the same time, we're happy that they've helped us out with that process. TK, you were asking some questions about getting involved as a songwriter and what that feels like early on, and I wanted to kind of come back to those a little bit. I think everything Emily said is dead on. We have a very friendly, very supportive, very accepting audience and community of musicians as well. So if you're a songwriter or think that you might want to be a songwriter and you've got some lines and some chords down, I think that probably the most important thing you could do in Wilmington right now is come to the Voice and the Pen. Doesn't mean that you need to get up on stage and start performing right this second if you're not ready for that. But what you'll find there is a community of people that are open and willing to helping teach. This is not an open mic. This is not like show up at 7 o'clock on Tuesday and put your name on the list and
right.
3 or 4 songs. Yeah, this is not that. But it is also not trying to carry a solo show for 3 hours of original music to 50,000 screaming fans. And, some of us may want to get there, and some are just doing this as their expression of art. But it's a community to plug into, and we're excited in the future to begin to offer some more focused, I would say, meetups and discussions around songwriting and around production and technical things as well. So we've got some exciting things along those lines in the works to really build our community a little bit more.
And I'm going to toss this one to Emily. How would we get people involved if they're not singer-songwriters but would like to encourage this type of event or this type of community?
I would say, if you're interested in, we've talked about just volunteers in general, or just like being a part of it, I would say if you're interested in helping us grow this, make it, as big as we can possibly get it, because you want to support something like this and you're just a big music fan, we can always use help on certain ends of it, promoting being one of those things, helping us share it and spread the word. I mean, word of mouth is huge. So, just bringing people out. There's guaranteed people out there who still have not heard of this. So, we want people to bring their friends and spread the word. I think that's the biggest thing. And I hope that's what you were asking me.
Yeah, that's definitely the aspect of the development, because every musician is not doing this in a vacuum. And while it is that, a musician's friend may be going to support his one friend, he's going to meet 7 others and realize that this is a little bit bigger than one guy or a couple of people. It's actually, a community that's already developed, shown itself at around 200 just on the YouTube page, right?
Yeah.
And that's just been with a couple of months of, hey, click, like, and share. And the more people do that, we can bring that up to even bigger numbers and start, because my interest in this is that these are phenomenal songwriters in all these different genres, but they're not they're not really in a place here in southeastern North Carolina to cut that big record deal with the big record company. But to get that type of exposure doesn't require that anymore. It requires little underground imps like us to say, here's a fantastic artist available on the interwebs, and you can download the video, the audio, you can come to the show, you can stream the show. We're trying to make it more accessible to get to good music that you're not being fed in the corporate world, is sort of my thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's something that I feel like, you know, we want to say to these musicians in our town that your songs are worth listening to, and, you know, it's not just about you going out and playing covers. And I think that they really respond well to that and really appreciate that support.
And CB?
Yeah, same thing. I think that it is a growing community. It is, you know, there's an excitement, I think, for most performers when you do get out and perform, and then when you start writing your own material and realize that it's hard to get that to come across when you're in a noisy bar and your background music, to have a space where that is not just accepted but cherished and encouraged to get up and share your original music, that's a powerful thing, and it's a powerful thing for people to become involved in and to witness and watch. I think that one of the things that we are going to see is we're going to see some amazing local singer-songwriters that move through the voice and pen and go on to do great things, probably on the national and international level. And I also think that as we continue to grow, we're going to be able to attract some songwriters from outside of Wilmington that'll be great influences and I think role models in a way for our local singer-songwriters as well. So it's really beautiful to be able to build this community and ecosystem of support for original music artists.
Amen. And I'm glad it's already big enough that we have to start looking at, you know, more and more solutions to manage the back end of this, because we already have hours of material in the archive that we want to manage and maintain, so that if somebody's like, hey, who was that guy? Or I heard this song by those two girls, what was that called? And I can actually respond, hey, that was Entangled Dreams. You can see their video on the YouTube channel. And more information, obviously, is available at voiceandthepen.com, voiceandthepen.com. Our YouTube and Facebook channels, pages, whatever those things are called, you kids have ruined my understanding of how the internet works. But all that information is there. We just need more people to get involved with it. Because I know I could use some help, you know, at the end of the night. It's a stressful 3 hours. And at the end of it all, it's like, yeah, it's just me and CB wrapping up at the end. And, you know, I just want to sit down and have a cigarette after all that for a minute. Goodness.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you know, to that end, I think the best way to get involved, like the simplest, easiest, best way to get involved is just like and subscribe, you know, our social media accounts. Go to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/voiceinthepen. Subscribe to it. We want to build that subscription and listenership list as high as we possibly can. You know, and if you do want to get involved with aspects of technical production, those sorts of things, just reach out to us. You know, we have, I think at this point, developed our systems well enough that if you come to volunteer and help us out with that, you're not going to be standing around twiddling your thumbs waiting for something to do. You know, we'll have some specific tasks, and you might be told, hang out and wait for a second until this next step, but here are the next 4 things that you can do. And I think, you know, any kind of production takes a little time to get there, but we're definitely there now. And so we're looking for technical help. We're looking for some ambassadors that can go out into the community and represent us and help continue to grow the number of people that attend on Wednesdays, and that can help us grow our social media lists and subscriptions and followers. You know, so we have all sorts of opportunities. And of course, the other number one thing is just come to Waterline on Wednesday, drink a beer, and enjoy the music. That's probably the simplest, biggest thing that you could do for all of us that are involved in this, including the songwriters and performers.
That's 100%. Because once we fill that room to capacity, then, that's when we're going to have to move this to the outside and start bringing in, really big pontoon boats so we can start we might have to move to, what's that, that steel structure they put down, the Live Oak Pavilion thing. We might have to move down there.
That's right.
That's
Next
our goal.
Stop, Live Oak Bank Pavilion.
And then after that, we move to Madison Square Garden.
Yes, sir.
And we'll have bigger and better lineups by then, probably bringing the same fantastic people that we've been working with the entire time. It's just they will grow with us as well. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Me too.
I got to say that I have, every Wednesday night, we get there around between 3 and 5 at some point to start setting up, and there are always those moments of anticipation where we're close to start time at 7 o'clock, and you look out and what's going to happen next, and then inevitably every night I turn around at some point and there are 40 or 50 people sitting in the audience, listening, paying attention, and it's quite a cool feeling to look out and see that. And watch people being fully engaged with the music and listening to these songwriters really pour their hearts out and give us their creativity in real time, in real life, right in front of us. You can literally feel the energy coming off of the stage. It's a cool thing.
It is one of the coolest things to start out, when I get there, there's nobody there. Me and a couple of staff in an empty room. And then our task is to build that room so that when people, it's weird because I'm so focused on what I'm doing that I'm walking into an empty room, I do all the setup, and the next thing I know, I look up and there's beers on every table. And people tapping their toes, and in some cases sing along, certainly when the artist is saying, hey, this is a sing-along, and people sing along. That's pretty cool.
It is. Well, it's one of the nice things is a lot of the audience members are, not a lot of them, but I'd say a fair number are singers and songwriters. So if you're writing a song to perform with the voice and the pen, make sure you put a little sing-along chorus in there because you'll have a whole choir to back you.
Yep.
Yes, you will. No doubt.
Well, guys, this has been a wonderful morning. It's 10 o'clock. I guess it's now time to actually do, business stuff and do, work stuff. So, unfortunately, I need to end the show, and I'm going to see you guys again in just a couple of days. Right? We got more show this week. As we mentioned, you already mentioned the artists. I can't remember them because my brain is not that well oiled. But it will be it'll be with Emily and CB in the round, leading the round. So it'll be four artists, whether it's a single, duo, or whatever, 4 entities on the stage at a time, taking turns, and that's a lot of diversity. I look forward to that.
Yeah, we're excited about it. Thanks for having us on the show today, too. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, for those listening, the lineup will be on our Instagram and Facebook at Voice in the Pen. So if you're following that, we'll be posting that very soon so that you can, always know who's coming up every week. But you should come every week, so.
Regardless. I mean, it should be your Wednesday night. You go bowling on Thursday, you go Voice and Pen on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, kids, it's been a lot of fun. It's the end of this broadcast week. So I'm going to give it this one. Something nice and mellow to end the weekend with, or end the broadcast week with. It's been the Asylum right here. The Asylum. Yes, the Asylum is your refuge in a world gone mad right here on the Big Talker Network, your local station. We will see you next week, folks. Thanks.
Keeping Charlotte informed. The Big Talker 106.7 FM WFBT, Carolina Beach.
Only one candidate for clerk of court has the experience needed to keep our courts running efficiently and criminals off our streets. That candidate is conservative Republican Catherine Adams. Adams has a 20-year record of accomplishments, including serving as Deputy Director of the North Carolina Administrative Office of the Courts, where she was responsible for the oversight of the human resources and financial management for all 6,200 employees of the state court system and personally managed hundreds of employees and tens of millions of taxpayer dollars. She's also been awarded the state's highest civilian award, the Order of the Longleaf Pine, for her public service. That's why Clerk of Court Jim McCallum says Catherine Adams is the one person most qualified to be our next Clerk of Court. Early voting begins on April 28th, and the primary election is on May 17th. So remember to vote for experience, vote for leadership, vote for qualifications, and vote for proven conservative Republican Catherine Adams for Brunswick Clerk of Court.
Paid for by the Committee to elect Catherine Adams Clerk of Court.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. A man convicted as a habitual felon is going to prison for selling cocaine near a Wilmington child care center. After a 3-day trial, 51-year-old Clarence Daly was found guilty of 2 counts of selling cocaine within 1,000 feet of a child care center and several other charges. Daly will serve a minimum of 12 and a half years in prison. In 2019, Daly sold crack cocaine to a